Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Today we're talking about three things that might be killing your coding gains. I know. If you feel like that you're not making enough progress, I think I can help you here. So let's get started. The first point is lack of focus, or like how you handle opportunity cost. So before you do anything, if you want to become a developer, if you want to become a software engineer, you need to niche down like what you want to do at your day job. So if you have interest in web development, you can do front end, you can do back end. If you want to do some kind of like app development, you can do iOS, you can do Android. So it's totally up to you what you want to do. But the thing is, I see a lot of new developers, a lot of beginners. One of the common mistakes they do is they try to do everything. For example, if they want to do web development, they try to do front end, they try to do back end, they try to do JavaScript, Python sometimes Java, sometimes Go. So they try to learn everything, every framework. They just couldn't decide like what they want to do, or maybe they decided something that they are going to do this thing, but at some moment they just change, and when they change, they'll switch to some different language, and or they change to some different framework. So make sure all your research, whatever you want to do, you do before you start your first line of code. You can try with different language. Maybe you try with Python, maybe you try with JavaScript, and you can play a few days, but that's it. If you're spending like 3 months doing Python and end of 3 months you feel like, oh, I don't feel like doing this, maybe I should do Swift. So you just wasted your 3 months. If you have enough time, maybe you're just in your first year, then you'll be like, oh, I have next 3 years to get my first job, right? But if your race is against time, then those 3 months are crucial. So I don't want you to waste those 3 months. So what I want you to do is talk to your friends, talk to your seniors, talk to your teachers, whatever. You just talk to them and ask, do your research, make some notes, and come down to a conclusion what you want to do and which framework or language you want to do. So when you narrow it down to that answer, just stay to that answer. Don't change it. Don't try new things after every couple of months. And now you'll be saying like, what if like I start doing web development and then I see there are more jobs in AI or ML? What can I do? Well, the thing is, you can't do much because see, everything has an opportunity cost attached to it. For example, I'm making this video right now, which has some opportunity cost because I could have done something else, but I chose to do this thing. I bet on this thing, and I think that will give me better return. So you can't get 100% right? No one can. My advice is, if you decided something, just stick to it at least for some time, so that you have enough data that you can say, okay, that thing I didn't like it, or there are just not enough jobs after 1 year maybe, and then you can switch. I did it. I started with Python. I did it for like 2 years, and then I found like there are fewer jobs in Python than JavaScript. Then I switched to JavaScript, but that 2 years or 1.5 years, I just did Python. I didn't jumble around too many things, right? So make sure you pick one language, one framework, and stick to it for some time so that you have enough data to make your next decision. So the next thing is momentum. So make sure when you start something, you keep doing it. I see a lot of times students, what they do is they do one thing for a certain time, and then they take a longer break, and then they start again. And then when they come back, they feel like they don't remember everything, right? They'll forget most of the things. So you don't have to make that mistake. Make sure when you start doing something, you keep on doing it so that you don't lose your momentum. Because in coding, you need to have some kind of mental capacity where you hold some information so that you can make some kind of decision while you're coding, right? So if you want to code something, if you want to code in Java, let's say, or Python, you need to remember that how to declare a variable or how to declare a function. You can't just forget that. You practice one day and then for next 7 days, you don't do anything. And then 8th day you come back and then you feel like you just can't remember anything. So make sure when you start something, you keep on doing it. You make it a habit, or you make it some kind of practice so that you don't forget those important concepts, because you need to remember those concepts, especially when you have an interview, right? So let's say someone give you a chance and then you feel like, oh man, I have an interview tomorrow and I didn't study for like last 6 weeks. So you're not going to do well in that interview, that's for sure. So make sure you prepare yourself, you do regular practice, and only then you'll be able to crack those interviews, because they are getting tougher, right? Interviews are not getting easier, they're getting tougher. So you need to prepare yourself. So make sure you don't lose momentum and you practice daily. If you can't daily, make sure you make a schedule so that in a week, maybe you can revise, or you can go back and you can study those important concepts 3 or 4 times a week minimum. Otherwise you will definitely forget, and when the interview comes up, you won't be able to answer those questions. So don't lose your momentum. So the last point is read more code. So for example, you are building some projects, right? So you're following an online instructor who's like coding on their end, and then you're following it. That's pretty easy. And I mean, they'll ask you to create a component or they ask you to create a page and you do that and you have an end product. But in real world, you won't have that teacher all the time with you, right? So you need to learn like how projects are structured. And the best way to do that is to go online, go GitHub and find open source projects, just see how they structure their projects. This is what like I did. The most intimidating thing I found when I started learning was how do they structure the code? Why did they cold source SRC? I mean, why? I mean, I just have all those dumb questions and ask myself why. And then I read online, go to the blog post and just read code, read how people like write code, or just read what people write about code. So you need to read more. You need to read more code. You need to read more blog posts. I mean, you can watch more YouTube videos, but they are more like passive. Like you just sit back and I'm talking and you're listening, or you might be doing something else, or and you are just not totally focused. But when you read, you need to pay your full attention. So this is what I want you to do. So make sure you go today, find some interesting open source projects, and just see how they structure their code and how are like they creating utilities files, or how they are like calling their functions, how they are like managing state, and how they are handling different variables, how they're passing data, how they are like connecting to a database. So all these things you can learn for free. All you need to do is read more and give your full attention. And I think that's it from today's video. Just make sure like you read more code, don't lose your momentum, and try to do few things, but with your full attention. And if you do that, I think you will surely be able to get to the interviews, or you'll be able to crack those interviews, because this is the end goal, right? You need to get a job, because that's why you're spending so much time. And I'm hoping I'm helping you in reaching your target. So that's it from today's video, and I will see you next time in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.